Just about to put the pistons into the 1098 engine, but I have bought myself a new toy, a tripod. I will show you how I go ahead and put them in. I've got two new pistons, two old pistons. There are probably 1,000 different ways to do it, and mine is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't know. All the rings are on. They've all been checked. And on number 1 and number 4, the crank is all the way down at the bottom of its swing, so I can tap this in. I will line up the valves so that they're not all above each other. They should be spread 30 degrees, not 30 degrees, 120 degrees around the piston. Okay, there we go. It's all set up. The hole in the conrod points away from the cam. I know it sounds stupid, but it does. It points away from the cam, and it goes in exactly the same as the last ones. They are offset, so that, as you'll see here, the rod is not directly in the center. It's slightly offset to one side of the bearing, and they line up as per the picture, with that pointing forward and front showing up on the top of the piston. You can see front on the top of the piston, or at least I hope you can. That's my ring compressor. Goes onto the piston with, you can see the bends aren't equal, there's one closer to the bottom. Goes on the piston like that. You twist this and it cinches down, compresses the rings, and away you go. You make sure it's clean inside and you oil it up to hell and gone, and then you just tap the piston in. Okay, I don't use assembly lube on the inside of the bore. I just use a little bit of light oil. I'm using synthetic 5W20. It's not what I'll run the car on, but that's what I'm using to assemble it. Cinch up the ring compressor quite firmly, and then you need to just tap around the sides of it to make sure it's all seated and square. Now the crank is already at the bottom of the throw. I've lined it up so that the piston says front in the front, and then if I get it right with the hammer, I just start to tap it down. It's all nice and lubricated, everything's nice and wet, there's lots of oil on it, and there we are. Piston number 1 is in. I just let this out and then repeat for piston number 2, 3 and 4, but for 2 and 3 I have to put the crank back to the bottom, so I'll actually do number 4 next. Okay, same thing now, I'm doing number 4. The compressor is on it. Just tighten it all the way up so that it's nice and tight. Again, make sure, as I did, that the crank is at the bottom of its stroke. Tap this all the way down so it's square on the face. Make sure that the piston points front. Tap it to just get it moving, and then one nice firm tap and it should go all the way in. And there we are. There's piston number 4 with its rings nicely bedded in the hull. I'll just pop this out with my new toy. Nope, I can't. There we go, and I've just pulled it out of my tripod, and you can see number 1 and number 4 are in. I'm now going to just turn the crank so that number 2 and 3 are all the way down. They'll bump against the cone rods for these, but then I'll turn the engine over to do it. I have actually got an engine stand, I just tend not to use it for the little engines.